No.
in my bedroom because Cassie's watching the baseball game down in the living room.
Did the Cubs played last night or they played tonight?
Both. They're getting crushed right now.
Okay, but because last night it was 3-0, so they had to win last night to play again, right? So it's
They
1-3.
won last night, and
But they're
right
about
now
to.
they're losing. They're losing 9-1.
Oh shit!
So yeah, so they're probably done tonight.
I had just one student
shall
last
see.
night, and she's from Chicago or has lived in Chicago, has family in Chicago, and she's a Cubs fan. And she was real bummed out. She was going to go home and see what the score was.
And they eked it out last night, 3-2. But tonight's not looking good.
Yeah, 8-point deficit's pretty big to catch up from.
Mm.
Let's see. I think at the end of the last session, we watched Samantha Phrase wander off on horseback
Into the sunset.
right for a couple hours up into the gloomy dusk. And I think the Boy Scouts, when they hike, they kind of go from landmark to landmark, and there's like little learning stations. Because I was thinking, like, why would it take only a few hours on horseback to ride to like the day 3 campsite, is which I'd kind of arbitrarily said it was. Because a horse doesn't go much faster than a person, except they could sprint pretty fast, and then carry a lot of weight on them. So I think there's like circuitous routes where the Boy Scouts go to like different landmarks and like learn about geographical formations, geological formations, and see specific specimens of things, particular lookouts. So they have like a circuitous route, whereas the searchers had been riding kind of directly back and forth, the shortest path. And so that's what the horse, kind of by its own impulse, was leading Sam directly to the campsite. And that's why it would take it just a few hours to go what the Boy Scouts took a few days. So we watched Sam ride off into the sunset, and we left Atticus back at the campsite at the operations center, having kind of an awkward or a conversation, an eerie conversation with the group of survivors, 4 young teenagers and a couple of chaperones in the early mid-20s. It was very apparent that other people weren't noticing, but your innate mistrust and ability to determine when people are lying to you, they were, through suspicious mind, they were lying to you. They were kind of covering up the fact that they were like in some way coordinating their responses with each other, almost behaving. You brought up hive mind last week, and very much behaving like a hive mind. I want to get back to Atticus there at the operations center. Probably, I don't know, half an hour. You can kind of hand wave the time and just let us know after that conversation with the chaperones and the scouts there, what was Atticus's next move?
Well, didn't he make some sort of comment like, "Oh, they'll be around soon" or something like that, or "it won't be long"? And
Atticus had asked, like, how should we rally the troops? Where do we go look? Where do we find you? And they were quite eager to tell you, no, like, don't go looking for them. But before they did that, you saw them kind of look around the camp and take like I think I called it a head count. But they just kind of surveyed the camp to see who was there and what was going on. And after a few moments, we're quite firm. Like, there's no need. We think they'll be along soon. And it didn't quite sit right because they claimed they had kind of wandered. They didn't quite remember what happened. They didn't know where the others were. But now that you're talking to them and they're telling you that, like, there's an implication they know something. They're, I think, being fed, given nourishment, a lot of hydration. They were all a little bit malnourished, a little bit dehydrated. Minor cuts and bruises that are getting treated. But I think
go ahead. No, go ahead. I interrupted you.
I'm just kind of, to wrap that up, the first aid or whatever, like, medical corps is on hand, is giving them all pretty much clear bill of health.
Is there any sort of physical, like if I do and I may need to do a investigate mystery on this, but if I just do a kind of a casual look at each of them in turn, is there any sort of consistent mark or wound on each of them that's the same? As though something like if they're pod people and there's something on their back, or if they've each got the same mark on the side of their neck or something, that I can pick up on?
You definitely can make a move to look into that. I'd be curious. Like Atticus would be pretty good at a bunch of different ways to kind of get a peek. Like maybe maybe in the medical tent they're having them like stripped down to shorts and checking them out, or maybe you go try and like stalk them when they're talking in private and like put your hand. Like, how do you go about kind of checking all of them?
So at first they're all kind of like sitting around tables being tended to and being fed and watered. Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably take my first opportunity to check. So I might just make myself useful, kind of, bringing things over to each of them and setting it down and kind of just doing a cursory look at what I can see to start. I'm not going to be able to see what's under their clothes, but maybe do not like a police type pat down, but as I set a drink down in front of each of them, do like kind of a quick pat on the back on one of them, and like a friendly grab of the shoulder on the next one, and just kind of hitting each of them in a different spot to see if I get either a reaction or if I feel anything that feels weird, or
Okay, I think it's a good way to kind of interact with them. Go ahead, and I think we're probably in the investigate a mystery realm there.
which is sharp.
Right? Yeah, plus sharp. And I don't remember any plus ones forward that we're carrying from last week.
I don't think so.
Okay. Then on a 7 to 9,
I don't think so.
you hold 1, and you have a list of questions there. And I don't think you have any additional questions. Jessica has additional questions for Sam, but you don't.
I do not. What's being concealed here?
And you're kind of going at it through like a physiological assessment. So as you've talked to them, they're really good at the one you're talking to. Like, makes eye contact, engages you, seems to want to give you the impression that they're interacting directly with you. You get lots of insincerity kind of just bleeding off of them as they're doing this. And you start watching out of your periphery, because earlier you noticed when you asked one about like a challenge coin, like they all kind of subconsciously pulled one out. At different periods and times, you see them glancing off to the hills, the ones you're not engaging directly, kind of all as a unit, the ones that are around that you're not talking to in your periphery. They're all kind of glancing off the hills and kind of staring there almost absent-mindedly for moments at a time. And occasionally when you see them do that, they'll reach up and kind of rub at their temples a little bit. And you see, again, it's kind of all of them at the same moment, rubbing on their temple, looking up. And you get this real strong vibe. They're not just linked with each other. There's something out there in the hills that's kind of communicating, or I keep saying kind of. I noticed that in my video, in the video from last week. I'm going to kind of work on not saying kind of all the time. But they're clearly communicating with something that's out there in the hills. It's not just that they're all linked together. There's some third party interacting with them. You don't get this really physiologically from, like, you don't see a wound there, but you just start picking up these patterns of behavior that show like what's being concealed is they're trying to distract you while receiving orders from abroad.
Got
it. So yeah, you've engaged them. You've kind of talked to them for quite a bit. At some point, it dawns on you that Samantha is just nowhere to be found. Is it normal for her to disappear mid investigation? Like, what's Atticus's perception of that? Is it something you're worried, or is it just, well, that's Sam, she follows wild leads?
I mean, I don't know if I should be the one to write that.
It won't
backstory,
necessarily
you know what I
be
mean?
the
Like,
truth. It won't necessarily be something like, because we haven't seen that yet. But do you have like, oh, again, or do you have like, oh shit, what happened to her?
probably, oh shit, what happened to her?
Okay.
Especially in this weird situation when neither one of us is 100%. Like, I'd want to. I don't know. I'd be concerned, I think.
Do you think you'd follow up on that or keep pushing the kids?
I'll do this. I think I was talking to one of the older kids. I don't remember exactly, but
One of the chaperones. You give them a bottle of water and
whatever I'm passing out to them, if it's like, say, like Cliff Bars or something, I don't know. I get to the last one, and I set the Cliff Bar, hoping not that there's not somebody right on him right at the moment, but I kind of put the Cliff Bar on the table and slide it over to him and pat him on the shoulder, and I'll say, we're not done here. I'll be right back. I need to find out what it wants.
tell it, I need to find out what it wants. You
I tell the
that?
kid, I need to find out. Yep. Like, I'm no more bullshit at this point. I'm trying to let him know that I know in a subtle way so that all the people around us don't know that something's up. And then I step away and I walk back to investigate and find out what happened to Sam.
Okay.
I'm mostly telling him that to see what his reaction is on knowing that they're not fooling people as much as they think they are.
You provoke him for a reaction. You start stepping away, but I think you're keeping your peripheral vision open. You're trying to figure out how he's about to react. Yeah. I think that's looking around and reading a bad situation. And when you look around and read a bad situation, you roll plus sharp.
Is it sharp or cool? Act under pressure is cool. It's sharp.
Yeah. Unless you have sometimes you get a move that substitutes it, but.
I don't have that. I have no such move.
On a 7 to 9, you hold 1. Oh, and you know what? Out of one of these moves, you get to take +1 forward when you use it. That's out of read a bad situation. I was wondering if investigate gave you a +1 forward, but it doesn't. If you act on the answer you get here, you'll get +1 forward. So you can't apply it to your 9. So you're at 9, you get 1 hold, and you can spend it to ask the keeper one of the following questions.
Let's go ahead and say, what's the biggest threat?
Okay. You say, hold on, we're not done here. I need to figure out what it needs, what it wants. And as you turn around, you feel this intense pressure on the base of your neck. Just like when you get like a tension headache, you feel some intense pressure. And then you feel it up on your temples, and your vision just starts to go white. And for just a moment, you're dazed, you're kind of dazzled, you're like a migraine coming on. Mm-hmm. And then you feel it just kind of like slip across. It's almost like you have the feeling you're being watched, but then that feeling just kind of abates. You're not sure who did it, but you've been around enough, probably things trying to possess you and things trying to get in your mind, or even feeling like Samantha when she kind of pokes into your brain, and it's not always invited. You know that something just tried to claw into your head, and it failed. but it felt like it was a powerful presence for that moment before it slipped off. I'm not having you kind of. I'm responding to a good roll, so you're not like under possession, but like something just tried to jump on you. You feel like you've poked the bee's eye, and whatever psionically controlling or psychically controlling these kids has like now it kind of not kind of now it wants you. Um, what's your facial expression, and how does the audience know that Atticus just kind of went through this attack and like fought it off?
I mean, he probably turns to walk away and then just stops dead in his tracks and grabs the back of his head when he feels it coming, and almost kind of like bends over at the waist, and as it subsides, stands up, and gives a look back to the kid he talked to, and just kind of nods and then keeps walking.
Ooh, nice. I think as you look back to them, they're all 6 looking right at you, and I think like out of both of them, just small trickles of blood kind of coming out of their nostrils as you turn and walk away. Like maybe you don't even see that part, but the camera shows them, and they all as one like wipe it away. And camera fades out on you, and it comes up on 9, 10 o'clock at night in the third night campsite for the scouts. Samantha, what's your horse's name? Is it Buttercup or something of that sort? Is it a flower?
Violet.
Violet. Okay. Violet turns out to be a pretty chattery horse. You think nervous talk because she clearly doesn't like where she's at. Her tail keeps slapping at mosquitoes. She's talking to you about her favorite grasses to eat, how she misses the rabbits, the hares that would run around the park, how just lonely it is out here. She just finds anything. There's even a moment of regret of having opened up this communication link with the horse. Like there's maybe a long-suffering moment. But you're still engaged in that. You still have the ability to talk to her, and she's walking up, and maybe she's saying, just up around the bend here. That's where all the young ones would sleep. Behind you, bats are still swooping. Mosquitoes are considerably less thick around you than they were, but still, every time you walk into a new area, it seems like you get into a cloud of them for a while before the bats make them disperse. What is Samantha doing?
So I imagine that I'm getting close to the campsite and really not seeing much of anything. I tell Violet that I'm going to get off her for a little bit and kind of walk around. So I dismount and start looking around at the ground, kind of debating whether to start a fire or not in the middle of this little campfire, because I really don't want to show the horse my dance moves.
You're embarrassed to have the horse see you dance? Nice. Yeah, you're clearly in the campsite here.
Yeah. So I guess it's pretty dark, but I really can't see much of anything. So I'm kind of regretting coming all this way, like not being able to see much of anything in the distance. But I guess a lot of things go bumping in the night, so maybe I might see some action.
Yeah, I think at least you have a decent moon out, so maybe not quite a full moon, but you have enough moonlight that you can kind of make your way around the rocks and not stumble into cacti or thistles. But yeah, it's pretty dark unless you want to activate a light or use some magic. You're at the campsite. What is it you're thinking about doing? And I like the idea of like just noises in the background, also just kind of spooking you. How can the audience watching this show tell that Sam is just something's kind of at her spine, making her uncomfortable?
Probably like as I take a few steps, I pause and kind of look around, like just because I've always been used to like fairies and magical creatures kind of being around and kind of seeing them. So just out of forceful habit, I keep looking around, but I know that there isn't anything here. Everything moved up to the campsite further south. So it's just a nervous habit to constantly turn around and expect something to be behind me, but there's nothing there. I probably get close to that little campfire that they usually have that's kind of edged out with some rocks, which is like the indication of like this is where you need to put your fire in place. I'm probably kind of looking close there to see if I can find anything. And sure enough, I pull a small little coin out from the rubble, not really knowing what it's in reference to, but I pocket it.
Is that one of those challenge coins?
Yeah. And then I guess I'll go ahead and kind of try to do can I see like what happened when the kids were there?
So under use magic, one of the specific things that you can do is to observe another place or time. I think that you're in the right place and you just need to kind of try and see the right time. Depending on how a use magic spell works, like with the success, you'd be able to do it. With a failure or a modified success, you might get a glitch or something else, but you definitely could attempt it. What would that spell casting look like? What's the song or dance you have to do?
I think, luckily, since I got that coin, I'm probably going to assume that it's connected to the kids, way or manner, and probably I need an element of that. Probably need some ash, which is great. It's right with the fire. Maybe a little bit of blood. So I'll like prick my finger with the little knife that I carry with me all the time. And I think
you need one of the things the keeper can add is you need one or two people to help cast the spell. And as you're kind of opening, I said kind of again, as you're opening your mind to the spell and creating on the fly what you need to do, you realize that you actually need somebody to just keep time. And maybe a beatboxer would work, or just somebody who can like speak a beat and you're like, man, I'm out here alone. And then you realize Violet, you need Violet to just like keep it. It could be just beating her hoof. You can have her beatbox, but what does Violet have to do to actually get integral to your spell?
I think she has to help me keep like the tempo of a song. I wouldn't know a good song for a horse to keep tempo too, though. So
I almost picture because you want to look back in time, you have to start with like a fast tempo and have it like at a gradual slowing. So there's a scene where Samantha's trying to get the concept through to Violet, and it's a long, awkward discussion of like teaching a horse like, come on. It's like 15 minutes goes by and she's like getting it through Violet's head, but she gets it. She gets it.
This sounds like an awesome horse.
I like Violet. I think she'll have to stick around. Yeah, I think you're set up to manipulate space and time and look back to the past at what happened here when this coin was dropped. Roll plus weird.
So weird.
Yeah, I know. I had a moment where I was laughing and thinking of like a Baby Groot, where you're like this button, this button, not this button, this button.
Let's
I was
see.
thinking
On
we'd
Use
have to sing
Magic,
like Rawhide or something.
I was trying to think of things like that time is on your side. Time.
Oh,
But,
that's a creepy song.
Yeah. It always makes me think of that movie Fallen with Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
A really good movie.
Yeah. That is a good movie. I think we saw that together.
Really? Maybe, yeah. It would have been a long time ago, back in Indiana days. The magic works without issues. Choose your effect, and we've chosen your effect. There are no glitches because it's 10 plus. Do you kind of open a? You know how you had a portal to the swamp before the effect we had in the last campaign, the last arc?
Mm-hmm.
Do you open a portal that you watch through, or do you kind of, you know how in Supernatural, Dean or Sam, whoever would travel to like another space time, could stand there but couldn't interact with it? What is Samantha's spell work out? What does she do?
It's because it's connected to the smoke, or like with the ash, it's these gray shadowy figures that represent the different people. And so you kind of see like the wind blow and the ash turns into like the silhouette of one of the kiddos or one of the adults that was accompanying them. And they just kind of like walk in the footsteps of what they were originally doing a couple of days back. So I'm probably seeing in reverse, like the people that have been out here on the searches for the past couple of days, and it keeps going back, almost like a rewind of a tape until we get to the setting of the kids.
And it's super fast going back to where you can barely keep track of the action until you get to like, you actually even see like the fight or the problem happen in very fast reverse action. And then it gets like right before the shit hits the fan and starts playing in normal speed in the kind of correct chronological order. I like that. So yeah, you're hitting the rewind button, like, oh, that's what I want to see, and go. Are you actually controlling when you start and stop? Like, will you be able to go back and like replay a scene, or are you just stuck with the flow of time now?
It's a pretty temperamental type of spell, so it's not like I can bring somebody back at another point and like revisit it or show it to somebody else. I might be able to like catch my phone out and try to record some of it, but I doubt you'll be able to see much of anything because of the time of day it is and how dark it is outside. But I can kind of slow it down to like when you do on a DVD, how you have like that
Frame
2-bit,
advance.
yeah. So it's not completely still, that still life type of motion, but I can slow it down enough to kind of see a little bit of the detail of what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, I think once the spell's over, you lose this unless you do it again. But yeah, for now at least you can kind of slow advance. And so yeah, you get to a scene where perhaps the ash even goes from a light gray when it's daytime to a dark gray when it's nighttime. And what you can tell is you've just kind of, the sun has just gone back down, meaning it's now the morning, like you're going backward in time. The ash has darkened until you get a sense that you're probably 5 a.m., 4 a.m., a couple hours before the camp is going to wake up and start making breakfast and starting their day. There are tents assembled around the camping place, and somebody comes, opens up a tent and walks out, kind of looks around, doesn't see anything, but like you get the sense of noise pulled them out. They go up to the fire and they prod at the embers a little bit. They reach back and they take a pile of wood. I think they probably carry their own wood up there. They wouldn't harvest wood from the parks. They probably carry some wood with them. Throws a log on there to kind of stoke a little bit, and they just squat next to the fire waiting for it to burn. for that wood to catch. And while they're watching it, you see them just stand up abruptly, and they were fiddling with that coin that you found. It tumbles out of their hand, and I think that's a bright silver, like opposed to everything else. It's ash. The coin you use in the spell is just this bright kind of thing as it falls into the fire pit. And they stand up, and they just walk off the scene. And after a few more minutes, you hear a yell. How does sound get communicated through this, or is it purely visual?
It's purely visible. I can't hear anything with it.
So you probably see over the next several, a couple minutes gone by, and then all at once, several tents open up, and people in the span of 15, 20 seconds, people rush out, clearly agitated, start looking in the direction where the kid wandered off. As they're looking about, small human shapes. You don't get a whole lot of detail off of their ash forms, but let me see their description real quick here. They're short. They stand maybe 3.5 to 4 feet tall, skinny. Kind of picture a golem from Lord of the Rings. They burst into the scene and overwhelm the people standing outside of the tents, throw them down to the ground.
Sure.
You see some of them stand over the prone ones, while others are ripping the tents open. And pretty soon, the other campers, there was maybe a dozen, or I'm trying to think, I think there were 30 campers. You see a group of them brought out around the fire pit. Dirt is kicked over the fire early in this, and you see them you see them corralled up. Probably about half of them are left kneeling, and the other half stand up and go walking away. You don't have great detail of who's who, but something, and I want you to tell me what it is, something strikes you as you recognize that 22-year-old, I think, was the one that Atticus was talking to. One of the ones walking out of the camp is that guy. What is it about them? Distinctive hairstyle? What is it about them that lets us know?
I think maybe it'd be hard with the ash.
There's something distinctive. I just don't know what it is. Maybe a scar or a haircut.
Yeah, I'm thinking more of like a scar, or you know what, a scarf, like like the little bandana.
Okay.
Yeah. Like all the other ones weren't wearing one, but this one was like like a bandana that one of the higher ranking people wear.
So I want to avoid infringing upon like actual scouting stuff because I don't know enough about it and I don't want to be disrespectful scouting. But there's like an Eagle Scout equivalent, and this guy is an Eagle Scout essentially. And yeah, he has a bandana that signifies that, has some sort of distinctive thing, and maybe that's what drew Atticus to him in the first place back at the campsite. He would have been a like a youth leader for these groups. There were also some adult chaperones, but he's got a lot of kind of achievements within the organization. So yeah, you see him. What do you do about this? What's your thought? What's your reaction? There's nothing you can do to stop it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just all kind of good information to know, but at the end of the day, you're right, there isn't anything that I can do to stop it. From my hike up here, there isn't anything in immediate danger with me at the moment. I think as I realize like what happened, probably end the spell. And
before you end, would you want to like investigate a mystery? Might be an option while you're there to kind of look at the list of questions there and see if there's something you'd want to learn. how would you go about it with the kind of the pure visual representation? Or is that, or do you have enough just from what's been described?
No, I can probably try to investigate a mystery of like what can hurt it. See if there was any of them that might have been injured in the process of the kids fighting against it.
Roll plus sharp while you're watching this, and you have that control to kind of slow down and focus on different areas and replay it. On an 8, 7 to 9, you hold 1, and you want to know what can hurt it?
Yeah.
They're half of the scouts of the party have walked off. The other half are there, and a small group of the gray folk, small folk, are around them. And you see 3 of the scouts bolt up and grab them and just bum rush them back toward the fire pit, knock them down, and start fighting back. The gray folk around you panic and disperse. You get the sense they're very timid or frightened. They don't come to the aid of the one that's getting knocked down. The 3 of them are there. And you just get a sense that, like, yeah, if you show significant backbone, they don't want a direct confrontation. Does that make sense? Does that feel like a fair response?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's cut back to Atticus then. You've got that. Somebody tried to get into your head. Sam's been gone for a little while now. It's probably
But I don't know how
maybe
long
it's getting
she's been
close, like
gone.
9, 10 o'clock. No, you know she came to the camp with you, and within the first hour that you were here, she disappeared. Shortly after the kids arrived back at the camp, she just wasn't there. It wouldn't take much investigation if you were thinking to ask. She went and talked to the quartermaster, who would be happy to tell you that, yeah, your partner grabbed a horse and ran. But that was Milana Kevis, who was the quartermaster. But I don't know if you would talk to her or what you would do.
Let me see. Let me check my notes here on who all I remember.
We had Ranger Jensen, who was the guy who blocked you from going to the park until you came here.
And then
Lieutenant
Laura Bastrop.
Laura Bastrop is the agent in charge from Homeland Security. You also met a helicopter pilot named Gershwin, and a quartermaster who can set you up with, I think, your kit and your bunks and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would make sense to go to the quartermaster, because if I don't see Sam around anywhere, that's who she would have gone to get her stuff. Maybe I'll first do a quick lap around the kind of area that we are, just to make sure she's not here somewhere where I'm not looking. Then when I find out she's gone, I'll go talk to the quartermaster.
As you do that lap, also you get behind the storage container that serves as like their food supply area, holding area. And back there we have, I think last time Samantha had found like a little eddy of wind that was a nature spirit that was playing back there, and we watch as you go by. That same little burst of wind is still dancing. I think it actually, something about it, it's frantically beckoning for your attention. I don't think Atticus notices it though, but I think there's a scene where you're walking around and, like, clearly the spirit's like, "Hey, you!" You end up walking by.
It's the one that she gave candy to, right?
Yeah, maybe that's how we know is the rapper. The what were the candy bars that you were handing out? Whatever.
I don't remember.
Whatever you're handing out, like she was handing out, that's the same thing. The Snickers or whatever is what she gave it. So they have the Snickers wrappers. I think it's almost wearing it. It's like a little sash. It's just, to you, it's flipping around the wind, but to it's wearing it and dancing and twirling. So you go around. The quartermaster is not very busy. People aren't really using supplies. She's got a clipboard, checking inventory again. Looks like she just walked her rounds. As you get close to her, you see a big patch of sunburned skin on her back, and you recognize that she, like on the back of her neck, you recognize that she's got kind of dark tan skin and then just a big patch of vitiligo that is burned on, or burned from exposure. That's only there because one of you randomly rolled for her to have something, and vitiligo is the thing that she had. It's not a clue that she's a monster. I couldn't figure out how to make that meaningful, and so you see that. She's oblivious to you as you come walking up.
I'll walk up because I always have to ingratiate myself to anybody that I meet. I'll probably just make some sort of like pithy, offhanded comment, like, I don't know. Hey, Doc, what's your top shelf stuff here? Some just sort of little joke as I walk up.
Looking at that charm 3, she kind of rolls her eyes as if I hear that all the time, but clearly she doesn't. And maybe even it's through your deception sense with your suspicious mind. You know that she's just being a little flirtatious and doing a little like, oh, whatever. But
An egg.
yeah, she blushes just a little bit, and she says, "Well, we've got some pristine top shelf water back here." And she grabs a bottle of like the Sam's Club version or Costco water, the non-brand name.
I hear that goes great with saltines.
And she starts nosing around, and she grabs a box of those as well. And then she has a flask of something that she actually pulls out and says, "Or if the campers aren't around." And yeah, she's got something to have a little nip of from time to time.
I'm impressed. I actually wish I were here for a drink, but I haven't seen my partner Jane around. I didn't know if you'd seen her. I just wanted to catch up with you, put our heads together, and make a plan.
She starts nodding and says, "Yeah, she had some." And I don't remember, Jessica, if you gave her an excuse or if you just needed a horse. But she starts searching for it. She had some sensors to put out in the desert. Whatever it is matches whatever you told her. She's not trying to cover. So she borrowed Violet. They seemed to get along quite well. Violet's sturdy. She's a good girl. And they took off a couple hours back.
Oh, a couple hours.
Then she looks at her watch. Oh, probably about 4 hours ago, actually. She's not back yet?
I haven't seen her.
She looks a little worried. It's not good to be out alone in the dark.
I probably ought to go follow after her, see if I can find her.
Well, you'd be alone in the dark then. It's not.
Yeah.
Should I round up? And she starts like offering suggestions, but I don't want to tramp over what you want to do.
I don't want to pull too many resources from here. Maybe if, and I promised him I wouldn't bother him, but maybe if Jensen can follow along with me. Yeah, I know he knows the park better than just about anybody.
She says, "Oh, I think he would be happy to. Let me see if I can get him on the radio." And she reaches to her radio and like, oh, shit, I forgot. The damn things don't work anymore. Yeah, run down there. I'm sure he will. Tell him your partner's missing, and I'm sure he'd be willing to go out there with you. I'll get a couple horses saddled up if you want to do that.
Great. Maybe I can get one of those Eagle Scouts to go with me. What do you think? I kind of grin at her as I start to walk away.
Yeah, so I think your car starts up fine. I think your phone is still working. Any little technology stuff you have at this point is still working. You're going to go down and get Jensen?
Yeah, I mean, just, I guess, shot in the dark as I'm walking to Jensen, I'm going to try to dial Sam's number and call her.
Okay.
Sure, it won't work, but I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, your phone rings and you get through to her voicemail, which is what it does either when she has her phone off. I think it goes immediately to the voicemail when it's off
Right.
or off.
All right. Yeah, I'll go find Jensen.
Yeah, you get. We don't need to play through that scene unless you have something specific you want to do. You can get him and be on horseback going out in the desert, or
Sure.
he's eager to help. You guys don't really know where she would have gone, right? Do you have any reason to, or you can fabric you if you decide like you know Sam well enough to know exactly where she went, you can decide that.
No, I don't know that I would, but I mean, is there? I'm not a tracker or anything. I don't know if there's a way to tell where horses recently left from, or if the quartermaster saw which way she went. But I don't think offhand I would be like in tune with where she headed off to.
Sounds like, I mean, it's the minor mystery of what happened to Sam. It's not the mission mystery, right? But sounds like you're doing an investigative mystery. Talk to the quartermaster, talk to Jensen. You know, maybe we can find a little horse poop. Jensen points you, or quartermaster points you off in one direction, and then you find the poop, and maybe Jensen can tell by the trail that they took a rough guess where they're going. So I think roll plus sharp as you have Jensen helping you. And yeah, you get 2 questions, and you don't have to ask them both at once, but you can kind of hold them for going out on the trail.
What happened
Where
here?
did it go? Could be what happened. With the context of Sam.
Yeah.
Jessica, why don't you just answer that real quick? Like, what was Sam doing as you took off?
Oh, is this something that the other people would see, or is it something that he would actually see for only himself?
I guess it depends on what you describe. We can say that you did something that only he'd pick up on, or it could be something Jensen would recognize.
Oh, it would just be I saw the kids come in, and got curious about what happened at their site. So my idea was just to go and look for them, or go and revisit their camp and see what happened there.
Maybe there's like a pile of candy wrappers, something to indicate that you stood there getting bored, pistachio shells or something. You got bored waiting and just took action, took matters into your own hands then. Like that might be indicative. But yeah, she just decided to go handle. It's time to handle shit. So yeah, between you and Jensen, you're able to put together like what happened was Sam got on Violet and headed off into the desert to figure out what happened to the kids.
That's Violet's poop. I'd know it anywhere. Okay, then yeah, once I've got a beat on a direction that she went, Jensen and I will take off at a gallop in that direction. I'm a driver, not a rider though, so I'm a little uncomfortable on the horse.
It's a kind of drive, I think.
But trying to play it off.
Are you making conversation with him as you go? He probably notices that you're not as comfortable on a horse as he'd expect a geologist. Somebody from the Geological Survey, that rugged terrain quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
He's not suspicious of you though. He just figures maybe you're an office hand, a desk jockey.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to role play out necessarily, but I have a feeling that I'm the kind of guy who can't not make conversation, right? Like I'm always trying to size people up and get them into my good graces so that, or get into their good graces so that I can get what I want.
Yeah.
You know, it's always about building another relationship to potentially exploit.
I think then, yeah, you end up asking quite a few questions, not really revealing much about yourself, but you get a pretty good sense of Jensen.
Yeah, well, the way to make people love you is that get them to talk about themselves.
Yeah. And I think the big thing that comes through on Jensen is he's just really eager to find the kids, make sure the kids are safe. He's a ranger because he wants to be out here in nature that he loves, but like when there's an issue, it's only by pulling together. He gives you lots of platitudes, but you can tell that it's not just like uh, posters he's read. He really, like, to his core, lives the credo of like, we're a team, we're gonna do this together. Um, he doesn't want to get too distracted by like off mission by doing like geological research, but like now there's a missing person and you're on his team too, and we're gonna go find her, and she's gonna be okay. And yeah, he's all pep talk. You guys ride out into the desert for a while. Up, you're going up into the foothills. Let's cut real quick to Sam and see what you're doing after the end of your spell. See if I can get the group back together, or if you're gonna go further, or
I'm sorry?
I just had a big freeze on my end. I missed whatever Jessica said.
I didn't say anything because you freezed on my side.
Oh, okay.
You both froze to me, but I saw everything that you said, Andy.
That's my internet being.
What is your...
Okay.
So what is Sam doing as the spell comes to a close?
Maybe can I read a bad situation and see if there's any dangers that I haven't noticed yet?
How would you go about reading a bad situation? And then sure. 3 weeks ago, this was the site of a kidnapping. I think now that you know what happened, you even see the signs of a scuffle. But there have been a lot of things. Like the site was cleaned up. Somebody took like scrub brush and tried to cover up all the tracks. But the ring of rocks around the campfire, you see one of them is turned. There's like a little gap between it and the ground. Normally the rain washes over it and the mud just packs in flat to it. Clearly this rock had been removed and placed back, and perhaps tipping it with your toe, you see a little bit of blood on it. And you can picture, like, in the ash, you saw one of the guys like hold the gray down and pick this rock up and smash it with the rock. The grays clearly put the rock back in place, but just hurriedly. Yeah, you're poking around the site. Go ahead and roll plus sharp. Hey, you guys are rolling too good for having fun. On a 7 to 9, you hold one. You can ask one question.
No, that one didn't roll, I don't think. There.
I got an 8 on the first roll, and then 11 on the second.
Because that... No. Okay, that's fine. We'll do the 8. Either way, it was going to be just the dangers. Are there any dangers we haven't noticed?
Clearly, I think the answer has to be yes, right? It's got to be yes, or it's not exciting.
Yeah.
Let me just consult my list of keeper moves here. Can you roll me 1d13? So type /R space
D13.
D13, yeah.
Just her though?
Just her, yeah.
That's a really lousy number.
In the ash, there's a stone. You rolled back that bloody stone saw the blood, kind of let it settle back. A little plume of dust comes off, and you see a stone laying in the campfire pit. It's, I guess, I don't know if basalt would be the right. It's like a dark, very dark rock. It's not the same like river rock that was used to build the fire ring. It makes you think of underground as you look at it, of mineral rich, something that maybe was long ago forged by heavy pressure and the flowing of the magma under the earth.
Like a pumice stone, maybe?
Maybe, yeah. I'm thinking like not obsidian, not glass, but yeah, maybe like a pumice. It's a flat, broad thing about the size of a large phone or a small tablet. And you notice it has some etchings in it. Ash is really covering it up. It clearly has been left in this campfire pit for a while. You think maybe 3 weeks or so. And going back to seeing the site, the scene where the three guys tackled the gray, as they pushed him toward the fire pit, you recall now, it makes sense that you saw what appeared, maybe he dropped something, and it was this rock that's laying here. Your eyes are just drawn to it as you're looking around, trying to think of like unnoticed dangers. As a player, you know that thing symbolizes danger. Does Samantha get a heebie-jeebie vibe from it, or what is her reaction to finding it?
Maybe.
I would think she's all about getting heebie-jeebie vibes.
Every step I do is a heebie-jeebie vibe, I think. But maybe.
So you have to ask if this is normal heebie-jeebie or extra heebie-jeebie.
Right. I remember my. I wish. I'm kind of thinking maybe like my ring or my necklace kind of hums to it, and so it's like bad mojo. And that's how I know it's something bad.
Your necklace is related to telepathy. Mm-hmm. I think as your eyes settle on it, maybe instead of humming, you just feel your necklace get heavy and lay against your throat, or, against your chest. Let me look at the Samantha Phrase character sheet. The world goes gray again. It's not the gray of the ash of the time travel spell, but rather of your dark powers waking up to you. Color fades from the environment. Violet gives a very nervous whinny. You hear her saying something that might be hoarse for, oh, shit. And you feel that lust for power, for gaining control of things, that the dark power it tries to feed in you. It wants you to embrace this stone. The voices don't speak right now, but you smell the swamp air come through thick again, even though you're in this arid high area. You don't smell mushrooms. You've been thinking of the people as being mushroom and making that like fetid swamp, but no, you realize this is different. This is the swamp, the rot that you bring with you. They want you to pick up that stone and use it.
Use it for what?
They want you to take it. Maybe that's actually maybe that's what they whisper in your ear. And Jessica shared with me right before we started playing tonight. Her name is Phrase, but do you want to kind of put it on the record why you go by Samantha Phrase?
It's actually supposed to be Gray, because that's my father's last name. But I want nothing to do with my father, so I changed it to Frey.
And I think the voices tauntingly call you Miss Gray. They try and bring that name back around since they were brought to you by your father's influence. take the stone, Miss Gray. We need you to take the stone. Bring you power.
I kind of feel like it might be of value to take, especially if it's kind of connected to the monsters. Like I imagine that would probably use it to destroy them. So probably at this moment don't see much of an issue with taking it.
Nice. They're happy. So you pick it up. You feel your eyes drawn to the runes, and then there's something in you that. Have you read any sort of like Lovecraft or other Cthulhu myth where you look at runes or even Warhammer, you look at something that's like just so profane it hurts to look at it, and often they describe like people just can't focus their attention on it for long. You feel there's something to that on this stone. You know that a lesser person wouldn't be able to look at those runes for long. You feel like your gaze wanting to slide off, but you can control it. Samantha Gray is strong enough to control it. What do you do with the rock as you pick it up?
Probably grab like a cloth that I had in my pocket and just
Okay.
wrap the rock in it, just like shove it back in. Just tell Violet that we're getting ready to head out.
Okay. And then do you indeed head out?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're heading back to base camp, or where are you going to head?
Yeah. Heading back to base camp.
It is dark. Violet knew the way here when you had daylight, but on your way back out, when you wander in the foothills, roll plus sharp. On a hit, you find your way. On a 10 plus, you find something useful. On a 7 to 9, something follows you. Go ahead and roll plus sharp. And then we'll take a quick break and then pick back up with Atticus. 9. On a 7 to 9, something useful follows you. Did you have a +1 still from... You want to use your +1 that you got from the earlier read a bad situation or to bring it up to a 10? Or do you just want to go with that and hold that +1?
Yeah, no, we can do that.
Okay.
Bring it to 10.
So on a 10 plus, you find your way. So I think what we'll do is we'll take a quick break and we'll get back to Josh, and we can pick it up right as kind of you see Samantha coming back. You're about 2 hours away from base camp. It's like she's coming back and you're going out. It's 10:03. Let's come back at 10:10. Is that cool?
Cool.
I'll be back before that, but alrighty. I'm gonna grab a tea.
I'll see you in a bit.
Babe,
What?
I just decided to check the Cubs score.
How are they doing?
It's not very good.
Oh.
Now it's 11-1, top of the ninth.
Mm. Yeah, there's no touch in the top of the ninth.
Hey guys, I'm gonna switch rooms real quick, so it might take me just a minute, but it
Okay.
won't take long.
No worries.
I need to like take a tour of my house.
All right. Turn left.
You didn't get to see me comically turn my head to the left.
Go off camera and do a bunch of funny shit.
That's what I do best. By the way, the kind ofs are not bothering me nearly as much as they're bothering you.
The which are?
Yeah.
Kind ofs. When you say kind of, I don't even notice it until you point it out.
It was watching the video tonight that I just really noticed, and that's one of the things that also I just want to get better at.
I think I say sort of a lot, but I'm not sure. I never really paid attention.
Sort of.
That's Charlie's room.
Well, we got all of them covered. Okay.
This is the most action we've had in game.
Yeah.
Where's the dogs?
They are in the living room. I'm walking towards them now.
My folks, last weekend, Dad texted me that he went and saw the 2-week-old litter of golden retrievers they're going to be getting their next puppy from.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Have any of them been good fishermen like the original?
I don't know. At 2 weeks, it probably hasn't come out yet, but
I remember some exciting fishing expeditions in your backyard in a pool.
no, yeah, yeah, it's a good one.
All right, I'm gonna step away for just a second.
Okay. Now I miss Summer. She's a good dog. Jessica, could you look at that smoke alarm and tell me if you think it has a fresh battery in it or not?
No what?
Let's perform safety checks. Yeah, look on Josh's camera. That's a smoke alarm.
If they do, I'll let you know. Yeah.
Hi, Jesse.
I'll do that and I'll swap laundry room and stuff too. All right. Oh, and that's one of my lazy dogs, and the other one is hiding down there.
Give belly rubs after the game.
I will not.
Yeah, I insist. And also, you all need to roll some bad rolls so you can get some experience out of me. Damn it.
I'd like to.
And speaking of bad rolls, let's come on scene with Atticus and Jensen.
Fucking
We're not going to have you roll the Wander in the foothills because while it's dark, you're also with Jensen. I think that's enough. He knows his way around here. He's taking you on a direct route. It just happens to be the same route that Violet is going to be bringing Sam back on. Do you want to pick up meeting up with her, or do you want to play a scene out as you're heading out with him still?
I don't have anything else. We might as well get to where we're both together.
Okay. Then I think that's where we pick up. There's a little scene where you guys see Sam off in the distance, do whatever, calling out to each other you would want to do, and you meet up. What's your response on catching up with not the prodigal daughter, but the errant wander off into danger daughter / kid sister / whatever you think of her? Actually, what do you think of her? Were you worried about her, or was it just a pain in the ass that you had to find her?
I was worried about her.
Okay.
He cares.
I do. As we roll up, I'll be like, Jane, all right. How did it go setting up the sensors?
Oh, as well as could be expected.
Pick anything up?
Huh?
Did they pick anything up yet?
Yeah, a little bit. Would be a good way.
Jensen, plug your ears so she can tell me secret things.
Two things. Maybe you flip that coin at him. Could be cool. Alternatively, you're psychic. You're telepathic, right? You can talk to him all you want. You guys can be in front of Jensen, just going back and forth in your mind. So if you want to talk candidly, you can do it, and I'll just assume it's private, unless you say otherwise.
Just a long, awkward moment of us staring at each other while Jensen watches.
Maybe there's like a stilted conversation, or like the sensors, and then like a torrent of exchange, and then like the moon is pretty.
Yeah, I would tell him, yeah, the sensors picked up a little bit of disturbances in the area. And guess what? I got my badge. And then I flick the coin to him. See if that meant anything to him.
I'll catch it. It's one of the challenge coins like what the other guys have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I am putting a file into Roll20 and image. Let's see how big it comes up.
Well, Jane, your timing is perfect because now you're allowed to be in the Boy Scouts.
Indeed. I was really happy to see that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's too little too late, but good on them. So I just put a emblem up, and on the rune that you hastily tucked into your cloth, that's kind of the sort of runic symbology that's on it. It occurs to me you flip the coin to him, not the stone. So I'm acting too early. But yeah, you
Oh, okay.
get back out of the way.
Okay.
Got it.
So she flips that coin at you, and you recognize the challenge coin. It's been burned. It's been singed. It's still coated with ash and a little bit of blood from where she pricked her finger.
So
I guess.
did you found this, or
Yeah, I guess we probably shouldn't let our superiors know. They might take the grant away from us.
yeah?
Yeah, it was just up a little bit of ways. I think it was where the kids were camping.
No sign of them up there, I guess.
No, nothing there.
Well, the
Did you find
Well-
out anything?
yeah, you know, the ones who made it back to the camp are doing well. They're you know, they're shaking it up, but they all seem to be of one mind, and that they want to make sure that everybody makes it back to the camp soon and in one piece.
Is there any sub conversation going on that you guys are having that the ranger's not hearing, or are you kind of talking these vague?
I mean, I can't. I don't think I can initiate that, can I? Like, I can respond if she reaches out to me, or if we work together for a moment, kind of have that permanent connection going.
So yeah, I think it doesn't take her. It doesn't take her any like she doesn't have to roll to connect with you telepathically.
Right.
But you're right that you can't just force your thoughts in her head. If you have some signal, or if we establish that like she's in your head, you could think to her, and then she could put thoughts back into your head, like her voice. But I guess it calls on Samantha to know if that's going on at this point.
Yeah, no. I would probably. So telepathy is with my necklace, right?
Mhm.
So I'd probably touch my neck and ask, like, you don't happen to have any water? My canister already ran out, and that would be an indicator
Sure.
where like I can have like a little bit of silence, but be able to communicate it with him while I'm drinking some water.
I think Jensen eagerly like hands you a canteen and starts admonishing about the dangers of going off in the desert without enough water. And like, yeah, he's distracted by like giving you the water and like kind of casting about, and he's in the background. You guys can have a dialogue
Only
together
you
without worrying
can
about it.
prevent forest fires.
He's lighting matches and throwing them at brushes. Like, nah, it's
No, I mean, if we get the connection, I would, and we don't have to play this out, but I would relay to her how the conversation went with the kids and the things I noticed, and then the attack that I received.
and you know enough like to describe that it was like clearly a telepathic type
Yeah.
attack that.
And then it seems like they're all hosts to some one powerful something that's under control.
Yeah. I could probably feed him a little bit of like the imaging that I kind of saw in my head. Maybe he'd be able to make out some of the pictures, hoping that he can.
So the imaging being like your memory of the campsite attack and things like that.
Yeah.
I think that the big thing that really stands out, at least initially, and you guys can interrogate the scene more and talk about it and figure out what else. But the scout you talked to, wearing the Eagle Scout scarf, that clearly, like you see the attack, you maybe watch Sam go through it a couple of times, and you see that kid being one of the people that gets up of his own accord and walks out. And you see all the other five that were with him. You see them all amongst the crew. Whichever ones you have something recognizable about, at least. Maybe
Right.
it's not great detail, but you. Oh yeah, I think that's Timmy, and that one's Bobby. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably also extend like that thought of if he thinks Jensen is a is a good person, like that he's not part of any of the craziness, or like if we can trust him.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we can
And
trust him.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we can trust him with everything, but I don't think he's, I don't think he's a threat right now.
And based off your suspicious mind ability, I will let you know if somebody's lying to you. He hasn't lied to you yet. He isn't doing any of the sort of weird behaviors that the kid's doing, so you don't think he's tied up in that weirdness. Yeah, you don't know if you want to tell him your secrets, who you really are and things like that, but
right.
He's not the enemy here.
Right. So then, do you want to continue in this area, or do you want to head back?
It sounds to me, and this is telepathically, sounds to me like the boys who came back are expecting kind of a mass of their cohorts to come back to the camp. And it looks like where they were sizing things up to see if they could take the camp. I guess my biggest concern is, based on what you've described, are they going to try to? Is this like a virus? Is this like the kind of thing where it's a zombie apocalypse where they're going to take the camp and now their numbers have doubled, and then they're going to go to the town and take the town, and now they've got the whole town, and it's just going to spread. Is that what we're facing?
Yeah.
Poker face.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern too.
I think our ground zero right now needs to be base camp, and we need to defend it somehow.
Okay. Then should we kind of investigate here to see where they've gone off to, and see if we can do a surprise attack in the middle of the night? And if so, are we bringing Jensen along with us?
I think we could use the extra hands. I've based on what these kids were saying, I think they're on the move already. I think they're headed towards base camp. I think ideal would be if we could head them off somehow. But I don't know. I mean, the group that seems to be heading towards the camp are the campers that are possessed by whatever this is. So if we're going to head off that group and stop them, that means killing a bunch of Boy Scouts. Which I'm game for as much as anybody is. But I don't know what, if we know what the source of this is, we can stop it there. Maybe everything will go back to normal. If we could find out where the source is.
There's this, and so I'm kind of showing him the rock that I saw in the dirt and that I picked up.
Showing me in your head or showing me physically?
Showing it in your head.
Got it.
Showing it to you in my head. I think it's connected to them.
It's a very vague image. You get a very blurry picture, Josh. Like, she broadcasts you something, and normally you get fairly good clarity. If she showed you like the page out of a book, you could read the lettering. Mm-hmm. She gives you what's just noticeably a blurry image projecting through her mind. And you find yourself like, you probably, how like dropping a phone call, you actually shut her out unintentionally. You kind of shut her out, and she has to like pop back in. It's almost unnoticeable, except maybe to Sam. It really stands out. Like, oh wow, that's not normal.
Well, I would probably be so shaken by that happening, like that, just that I can't see this thing. It would distract me enough that out loud I would say, I can't see that.
And Jensen looks around. He's not aware of the conversation going on. Seemed distracted by something off kind of in the distance. And now he's paying attention to you guys. You can't see. And he points over there. What are you looking for? Did you see something moving out there?
I thought you were looking at something.
Yeah. And What are you doing, Sam? You got booted out of his head for just a moment when you tried to show him the rock.
Um.
And Jensen seems to be thinking there's something out in the area around you.
Yeah. Did probably like just throw it back at Jensen and like, did you see something out there?
Yeah. And he kind of motions you guys to like kind of be quiet. He's looking out and he's looking at the sky. It's so damn dark out here. Then he pulls his hand up and he's gonna yell to what do you call it, like herald somebody out there to get attention. Yeah, he's gonna let him yell off into the distance.
No. I would rather
How do you
just
stop him?
investigate. Yeah.
Like, dude, is there a scene where like,
How-
no, like, don't?
How close is he?
Yeah, within reach, or you could take a step and reach. You can stop him from yelling if that's
Yeah.
interesting.
I'm going to put my hand up and on his arm and stop him. Like, wait, we don't know what's out here. We don't know what took those kids. Better to approach with caution.
When you say took those kids, like you see him struggle with that. He knows something's not right here, but he's really hoping they're just lost. And the returning kids this afternoon makes him hopeful. So you see him kind of struggling with it, and he nods. And there's enough weird shit going on. He knows something's not right. The animal's disappearing before the kids did. And so he looks at you and nods. Doesn't know why a geologist would be the one to talk to. He's the ranger. He should be in charge, but he kind of defers. Sam, what are you thinking while Atticus slows his roll?
Really
Okay, I'm
quickly.
gonna.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, can we see anything out where he's looking, where he was going to shout?
You could do like an investigate a mystery or read a bad situation type thing.
No, I'll let Sam go. We were shooting to her.
Okay. I'm gonna rewind really quickly just to see when the campers were at their camp. It was just them. Like there weren't any other animals around. Correct.
So you're not still in a position to rewind the scene, but when you were watching, like to rewind the discussion, when you're watching, you didn't see any non-humanoid
Like
type
they didn't go
things.
up there with horses or anything, right?
Correct. They were hiking on
Okay.
foot.
Okay.
That's correct.
I'm probably gonna like send my mind over to Violet to see if like maybe with her animal ears, like maybe with her senses, she can see or hear something that maybe we can't.
Okay. I think with telepathy, that's investigating a mystery. Or no, or maybe read a bad situation. I think you're in a charge situation. So roll plus sharp, and are you assisting with this? Do you want to wait until you see the roll?
Okay, I'll hold off. I don't know at this point what I could do to assist with the telepathy, but I'll hold off for a minute.
Okay. Yeah, so aid wouldn't give any assistance. So you can ask one question. Actually, you could have another +1 because you had a +1 forward from earlier. Oh no, you used that
it
while
on the
you're
9.
wandering the hills. Yeah. So you get one question. Jensen was looking out in a specific area. His eyes are still kind of going out there as he's deferring to Atticus, but you have a sense of direction.
Because I'm a boss.
You're on Violet. Because you're a boss.
What's the biggest threat?
Violet kind of snorts, and that horse protesting something that they don't like sniffs and snorts again and takes a few steps back from the direction that that Jensen's looking, and she says, "The young ones are back, but they're not right." And yeah, you just there's anxiety about these but she thinks there's what she's calling the young ones, and I think you probably associate enough that it's campers.
The kids.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the campers are just right across the bush. The brush.
Yeah, just off in the distance. I think just to set the stage so we're all working from the same fictional place, you haven't gotten their attention yet, so it's fairly safe to assume they don't know you're here. That I'm picturing a group of the campers returning to base camp, kind of crossing the scrubland, not using the trail. And you guys are up on the trail. Maybe there's a little bit of a ridge looking down, and during daylight, they'd probably even be in your plane sight, but they're crossing through like a little washed out river. You know, when there's a flash flood that leaves a little gully, they're kind of crossing through that. As you're real quiet here, maybe you hear the noise of their approach, and then you hear it start to fade away, like they've just passed by your position without knowing that you're here.
This is what she perceives through the horse senses.
I think the horse smells it, and that gets you all to kind of be quiet for a moment. And Jensen was looking back up the way Sam came, so it's something kind of up there. Maybe one of them silhouetted on a ridge and then disappeared. It caught his attention. He was about to yell out, and Atticus stops him. The horse like, "Now there's something going on here," and you all just get quiet. And there's this eerie moment, and you hear them kind of scrabbling across the rocks. You don't think your position is busted. They don't know you're here. Jensen is nervous.
How many do we see?
You still, like, it's not a clear visual thing, and you think the darkness is keeping them from knowing you're here at all, but you're going to think maybe another half a dozen to 8, maybe 6 to 8 people.
And they're walking
toward the base camp from...
I don't know how well I can see, but they're walking in lockstep with no light. Is that what we see?
I wouldn't say that it sounds like they're in lockstep. They're all moving together, but not like automaton type. But there is no chatter. You'd think that normally they'd be like, "Ow, oh, I stubbed my toe," or some shit like that. There's none of that. They're all quiet, but yeah, not robotic.
And there's no light. They don't have a torch or a flashlight or anything.
Oh, you know what? That's a cool idea. I think at one point, one of them gets up on a ridge, and you see a glow emanate. You see a young Boy Scout, maybe 13 years old, 14 years old. He's manipulating something in front of him, and there's this sickly green glow that emanates out. Think of a chemical light, those things that you break and they let off light. That kind of weird, like it's a photo or phosphorescent type light emanating off. You hear a humming, and you smell ozone even from the distance you are. He's probably 100 feet away. He kind of shines the light around an area. It comes dramatically close to revealing where you are without quite doing it. And he looks around, and he points up to the trail, and they all shift course, and they start climbing up like they've, by pure luck, circumvented you, and they're getting back up on the trail to get like the easy route home. So they're going to be kind of between you and base camp without horses. You do get a quick count. You see 8 of them. None of them appear to be hiding. They're just kind of clustered around the one that's shining the light. And the light goes out as they kind of make their way back to the trail and start.
All right. I guess we might as well start heading back to camp.
So when you gave me the rundown, did you tell me that they were afraid of force, basically, like uses of force?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, do we just follow them back? I don't see Jensen not approaching and being like excited that he found campers.
Yeah. So what is his reaction? he sees it, like it confirms that they're the campers, but they're just weird enough that like nobody else was seeing how weird they were acting. But he's nervous. Their reaction, like none of them say, "Oh, good, we found our way home." He's watching them, and he's just kind of looking to you both, like, "What's my move here? Are you guys seeing how weird this is?" Like he's not
Yeah.
sure.
Hey, Jensen.
He in very hushed tones. Yeah, yeah.
You ever seen Children of the Corn?
They're
That's not funny.
Why don't we just keep our distance and not we can see them, we can see if they get in any trouble, but I don't think we need to approach. I think we just need to keep our eyes on them and keep our distance.
He nods, and you see his hand go down to his hip, and he's carrying a pouch on his hip, and I don't know if you all or tell me if you'd recognize. He's got like a flare gun, I think, in a leather pouch on his hip. He's not carrying a pistol, but he has a flare gun, and he almost reaches that. Like that's the only weapon he's got on him, and whatever that would indicate.
And I know we can retcon what we want. I don't know. There wouldn't be a way for me to ride out on a horse with Jensen with my assault rifle hidden. There just wouldn't be.
Is it like a collapsible stock, and you have it in a kit bag that you would have like some geological gear? You got a bag full of probes and stuff that would be on the saddle, or not? That could be. I'd give it to you if you went out there.
I mean, I would like to have it because I was going to hand him a gun.
If that's realistic to you, that like Atticus learned his lesson last time about like getting separated from his rifle, and that was only a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd even take extra measures to keep it nearby when you're going out into the weird shit area. You'd have all your weapons on you also, and I think the same for you, Samantha. Anything that you'd have.
Jensen, it's important that we find all these kids and we make sure they're okay. And I know you want what's best for them, and so do I. So does Jane. Let's just say geology is a tough business, and I'll hand him my 9mm. I can reach it over and hand it to him, and I'll reach into my kit bag and unfold my assault rifle, and it's got like a strap, and I'll kind of throw it over my back.
You hand the pistol to him, and he takes it. He seems comfortable with it, and he takes it and he checks to see if it's loaded. He pulls the magazine out and checks. And as he's doing that, he's comfortable. He's a little reluctant to take it. Like, oh god, I wish I didn't feel like I really did want to have this. And then you pull the assault rifle out, and you see his jaw just kind of drop. Like, what the fuck? Geology is a dangerous, but he doesn't believe it, right?
Right.
He's not going to question it just yet. But like, you've just lost credibility about the geology thing.
Yeah, I figured I was tipping that hand already. I mean, that was almost like a facetious thing to say. But I'm not. I'm going to go with it until he asks me.
He's asking. He says, "What the fuck is going on here?" And he takes the gun and I think maybe opens the pouch and like puts it in there and gets the flare gun out and like puts that in the pocket.
I might have told a little white lie when we got here, Jensen, and I'm sorry that I did that. But we do work for the government. We work for an agency that we're not really allowed to talk about. But something did take these kids, and we're here to find out what it is and make sure everybody gets home safe. Seems like we're getting in the shit a little bit, and I want to make sure that you can defend yourself just like we can. And then we can all get these kids home safe and out of this alive. You know the direction we came from. We came from New Mexico. I think you can make a couple guesses of where in New Mexico we came from, where they look into things that you and I are not going to talk about right now.
I think they know enough tourists going to Roswell coming through here. Like you're ringing all the bells. I think even without asking, you've just kind of made the perfect opening for grifter. You've hit just the right things to be convincing. Why don't you go ahead and give me a manipulate someone? I'm reading into this that what you want him to do is like trust you and back up your move.
Mm-hmm.
and the reason is you really do want to protect the kids,
Mhm.
right? So you want him to be your, and fuck, there ain't no way around it. He holy shit, real life Men in Black and ladies in black. Um, he says, I don't know if I could shoot a kid.
Nobody's saying we're going to have to. I just want to make sure that your bases are covered and that we all get home to our families and we get these kids home. There's worse things out here than kids.
I can shoot worse things. Yeah. Yeah. So that scene kind of ends. What are you guys doing about are you going to try and pace the kids? Or are you going to let them get back to camp and then pulling after them? Are you going to try and catch them when you're near camp, but before they get there? Like, what's your goal? Or do you want to go back into the foothills and see where they came from?
I kind of want to like lead up ahead of them and kind of set up a trap for them to like walk into. Hopefully we can like kind of pin them into that location and try to see if we can, I guess, exercise whatever monsters have like invaded their brains.
I think what you're trying to do is act under pressure, trying to get around them, lay a trap. Does that sound right?
Okay. Yeah.
Plus cool. So you kind of lay the plan. Jensen thinks you're both Men in Black. Who's holding on to the +1 forward from Read a Bad Situation? You are, from the horse, right?
That sounds right.
Did you read a bad situation to see? Yeah, because the horse helped you detect the kids are there. So you got a +1 forward coming in from that. That puts you up to a 9. If Josh has some way of helping kind of guide you around and set up something before the kids get back to camp.
Yeah.
You have a ranger with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll just say, Jensen, let's, Sam wants to get up ahead of these guys. Let's flank around them, show us the quickest way where we can stay just out of sight of them. I'll just plea on him to help us.
Mm-hmm.
So would I roll plus cool?
Plus cool.
I'm somewhat cool.
Yeah.
More cool.
So
you're cooler than I am.
Between the three of you,
I mean, you're pretty cool.
Between the three of you, you're able to set out. I think there's a point where Jensen knows there's a another washed out section. If you guys let them get ahead a bit, because you're going to make some noise, you can take a shortcut, but it's real treacherous footing. It's not going to be easy, but if you guys push it, you can get ahead of them without being seen or heard. And yeah, the footing is a little unsteady. Violet kind of sets the charge once Jensen points you the right direction. And you make it through some fairly treacherous kind of rubble, stones and things. And you pull up, you get ahead of them. Where are you going to set up that you want to encounter them, or do you just want to get back to camp first? Like, what's your goal, Jessica?
No, I want to set up a little bit of ways from the camp because I don't want the camp to like witness everything that's about to go down.
Okay. Let's say there was a gunshot that happened, just for shits and giggles. How long, like, how far away are you set up in terms of, like, will it take the camp, like, 2 minutes to get there, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour? Like, you'll hear a gunshot pretty far away out here, but how long would it take them to catch up?
Well, I think you had initially said that it was like a 4-hour ride from camp to...
Yeah, and you're about 2 hours away right now.
Yeah, so probably about an hour before people...
Okay. So I'm going to say that's roughly 5 miles out here with, low light and treacherous terrain. You want to set up out there. So yeah, you guys can set up. What's it look like? You guys are plenty ahead of them. You can choose the terrain of your choosing. I think let's kind of, or do you want to? I was going to describe that and then cut, but maybe this is a better point to cut before we actually describe that sort of thing. We can start the next scene with you kind of surprising the kids coming back to camp.
Whoa!
I think as you're getting up and whatever scene you're in, you feel the necklace get kind of heavy. You feel the rag, the cloth wrapped around that stone and whatever you're carrying, like that, say it's laying up against your left hip. You see it get cold, and you just hear the voices kind of on the back of your neck calling, Miss Gray, Miss Gray. Maybe that's where we cut out as you're setting that up. And yeah, they want you to pull the stone out here. And let's pick it back up there. Any other questions here as we wrap that scene? Do you have anything you want to particularly announce or ask about?
I don't think so.
Anything to accomplish here? Jessica, do I see Samantha at 5 experience for something? Is that based off of last week's? Oh, yeah. Did you have an improvement that we didn't take?
Oh,
Based off of the last week's final session questions?
probably.
I think we did. I think that was the last thing we were going to do last week. Because you're about to get probably at least one more experience. Let's look real quick at the end of session. Did we conclude the current mystery?
No.
Did we save someone from certain death or worse?
I don't think so.
Yet. Not yet. It's coming up. I think you're on the verge of it here. Did we learn something new and important about the world?
I mean, if we've never encountered the type of beasties that we're going to this time, Sam saw them, sort of.
Sam saw them. I think you know that there's some sort of psychic manipulation going out.
Yeah.
Out in the hills where Sam was. I think the stone is something Sam knows that there's like significant weight to it. I think even Atticus knows that she has something that really revolted him, but then they almost immediately got distracted by like, oh shit, the kids are right there.
Right.
I think maybe even it popped up once or twice in the back of Atticus's mind of like, oh yeah, it was, and then like, I don't want to think about it. Like you feel your brain skimming across it, not wanting to think about it. And it's just enough, like Atticus is an old hand at treachery. You feel like there's clearly something going on telepathically or psychically around that stone, around whatever she was trying to show you. So I'd answer yes to that. And then did we learn something new and important about one of the hunters?
We learned that I just can't wait to tell people who we are.
Well, you don't know who you work for, right? You know Jeeves. You don't know the government organization. You clearly let him believe you're out of Roswell.
Yeah, I don't even really know that. I assume that we don't work for the government, but maybe it is.
Or yeah, and I don't think it's not clear it's the government. It's just clear that they have a lot of resources and contacts and like.
Yeah.
Who was
to be clear,
Joe?
I was attempting to lie to him and say that, that we're from whatever, the NSA or whoever, out of Roswell, and that everybody knows weird things are in Roswell and that's where we're from. Mm-hmm. I don't really think that's true.
No. Yeah, you're definitely not based out of Area 51, but yeah, I just thought that was a cool thing to throw out there. I think it's important that we learned that you were seriously worried about Samantha. Like that was what drove you out there. It wasn't frustration or another lost sheep. It was something that you were worried about her. Yeah, so I'd say we answered yes to 2 of them, which is enough to get 1 XP. And no damn missed rolls.
I would have leveled.
Is that all it would have taken for?
I would have leveled up with 1 missed roll.
Well, think about what you want to do with your next level, because that'll be coming up next. Next week, I'm sure you'll get it for something. Oh, Jessica, you're going to get 1 more because you did what the dark side told you to do.
Oh.
So that's part of your dark side move, right?
Yeah.
Are there any moves that you have, Josh, that would grant you XP for accomplishing them that we need to be triggering?
Mm-mm. I don't think so.
Some classes have pretty easy little XP triggers, and some don't. Okay. Yeah, I don't see any there. Jessica, do you have any inspiration for what your move would be just yet?
For what?
For your advance, the one that you
Oh,
got
yeah.
last.
I already gave myself another cool point.
You so
You can only
cool.
take that once. Didn't you already take that one time?
Yeah. But I
Did
can
you
do
start off at
max.
-1?
Yeah.
No, I think you can only take that one time, but then after you get 5 advanced improvements down below, you can take +1 to any rating again. But
Okay.
yeah, if you had started with 1 cool and you took that improvement, you would go up to a max 2 with checking that box. But you can only take any checkbox one time.
Okay. I think I had asked that last time, and I thought it was an okay thing to do. But
I may
all
have
right
assumed it.
then.
I lied, but only because I love you.
Okay, then I'll just add a. I'll take another
Dave,
spooky
you're up to
move in,
3. Okay.
and we'll
What
figure it
looks
out
good.
next game.
Okay. And I can give you the playbook sheets for the other playbooks because you have 2 available. Take a move from another playbook. So you can definitely do spooky if you want, or oh, and I'm just looking. Also, you can change some or all of your dark side tags if you don't like how greed and dark bard. I really haven't used rage on you yet.
No.
That'll come up next. Next week, I'm aiming to use it. Well, I think that's it then for tonight. Are we good for Sunday? Is that good for you, Josh?
Oh yeah. I'm good for
Very
Sunday.
good. I think Sunday we'll have an ambush. We'll kind of lay the scene so it'll be fresh in our minds for how you guys want to have it set up. I think it's going to be very dark, midnight, 1 a.m. By the time you get back to camp, or by the time you're an hour away from camp and setting this up. So think about what would be a cool scene to have there, and I'll let you guys lay whatever stage you want, set whatever stage you want, and
Just
confront the kiddos.
bear traps, baited with candy bars. That's my plan.
I like it. Maybe even just summon bears. Like use magic, you can just summon lots of bears.
They get caught in all of our traps, though.
Oh, last week I proposed a couple of moves for Jessica when the dark powers are happy with you. One was there's no extra requirements to open the swamp thing. The other was control of a froghemoth, and you really weren't feeling that one because unless you summon a froghemoth, there wouldn't be one. You didn't know if that'd be something you'd want to do. I was thinking a different one might be like just kind of generally, as long as the dark side is happy with you, an influence over swamp creatures that might be in the area. So like out here, you had a bunch of mosquitoes around you, and I thought, oh, maybe you'd be able to like influence mosquitoes, whether it's just to keep them away from you or have them attack somebody else, or if lizards and snakes and whatever kind of little pests would be around, like maybe you'd have like vermin lord abilities. Is that a swampy thing that would be interesting, or
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting as opposed to
the frog?
yeah.
So, and it wouldn't even necessarily be like magical animals, just natural things that would be found in the swamp. If they're around you, you can influence them and get them to do little things. Okay. I'll try and think of a way to write that up as a move, and we'll get that in place for Sunday.
Cool.
Very good. Well, I hope I looked at the Cubby score while we were on break, and it was 11-1.
Yeah, they lost 11-1.
Sorry to hear that. I'm blaming who was the last time I knew about a Cubs player? Ryan or I don't remember the name. Mark Grace. I believe Mark Grace's ghost.
I don't think he's dead yet.
Well, when he dies, he's got
He should be.
some answering to do after letting him lose this bad. Very good. Well, it was good seeing you, Josh.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
And on Sunday, we'll do it again.
Cool. I will talk to you guys
Yeah,
soon.
looking forward to it.
All right. Bye.
Bye.